if you do not have intentional actions of life, right? If you're not intentional about the places you want to go, you will have accidental outcomes. I think people know when they're taking the intentional action. I don't know if people are as aware that they're just going to have the accidental outcomes. All right. So, and the thought that I've been having is to be able to build out a podcast, and then people kind of see behind the scenes of the messiness that it's going to be.
Yeah.
So here we are.
I mean, I just watched you like put it all together. All the lighting and
Kind of fun.
yeah.
So last week we jumped in and we just got a phone call, and I was whiteboarding stuff out and pacing through my house, and we were just talking about what we want kind of the overarching theme of the podcast to be. What are kind of the big takeaways? Who are the audiences that we're talking to? And it was kind of funny because we kept talking. I guess we can give people a background. My background is business, but when I'm in the business space, a lot of people don't realize I was also a youth pastor for 6 years. I grew up as a pastor's kid, and so got to work a lot in like the people side of, I don't know, life, messiness. And so in the business world now, a lot of people don't know that because they only see me as, executive teams or the business consultant or whatever. And so even though I have a lot of that background, it's also that I can't shake the core pieces of me, and those core pieces are like the people development side and genuinely caring about people, but also not wanting them to just stay where they're at, right? Because a lot of the kids that I would work with when I was a youth pastor, they'd be in junior high or high school, and it's like, man, there's so much more to life than this. And it's funny because as I've grown up, and now those high schoolers are now running companies. It's the same thing, or they're employees, and it's the same stuff. It's like, man, life is bigger than this. Like, how do you put yourself on a path or trajectory which is going to put you on a path towards greatness instead of just like living by default? So the stuff that, as we were talking back and forth, one of the things in the last couple of months that I've been speaking to like chambers of commerce is this idea of two paths that people go down. Right? And if you look at life as in terms of a continuum, you're born, you're dead, and in between is life. And if you do not have intentional actions of life, right? If you're not intentional about the places you want to go, you will have accidental outcomes. And those accidental outcomes is kind of the default mode for people, right? And I think we all know that when we're living in, kind of the accidental outcome. Actually, maybe rephrase. I think people know when they're taking the intentional action. I don't know if people are as aware that they're just going to have the accidental outcomes of life, right?
Yeah.
So those are the things that we were.
Hence the accidental piece.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. And now your background, because you're now a school counselor.
Yep.
Wasn't your own, but where did it come from? Like, where did all of this?
Well, a lot of, I guess the background for me is, I mean, you could probably point it at, just being coached a lot.
Yeah.
In multiple sports, but ultimately settling on, a path of football where, a coach in high school really had this like belief in me that, that my life was destined for somewhere other than where I was at.
Yeah.
Right. So, he had a lot of input on like how I carried myself around school, which I didn't, right? I think that was the whole thing about accidental. Cause before that, I wouldn't say like accidental, but I was just kind of cruising through life, right? I was just like, I'm just going to go through high school, and then, I don't know, we'll have some sort of military or something, just because my dad was in the military for a while. But
yeah.
But it's amazing where, when you're at that fork in a road, so to speak, it was advantageous for me that there was somebody standing at that fork, saying, if you go this path, there's some great opportunities ahead. Now, if you just shut up and listen to me, then I think, you know, we could take advantage of those opportunities. And so, yeah, I guess, just those things of belief, and applying it to what I do today, it's very seamless for me, because that's just how that's my perspective, is a very coaching perspective.
Yeah.
And I've had coaches where they were demanding, and coaches that were also not as demanding, right?
Yeah.
And who would kind of almost kind of ride some coattails, so to speak, kind of come in like in the middle of the season after I've had accolades of, and they're just like, oh, this is the guy. I'm just gonna let him do his thing, and instead of like push me, right, which is what I needed.
Right.
But yeah, that's I took all that and applied it to, being in the mental health field for, I don't know, maybe 10, 11, 12 years.
Yeah.
And really growing through that.
Yeah.
Personally, really, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think it's put a lot of perspective as far as like life is not really that bad.
Okay.
Right? Because when you work in mental health, what I did, working in residential, and seeing kids who, again, who didn't have that, who don't have that opportunity,
Yeah.
who didn't have that fork in the road, and somebody standing there and saying, "Hey, this is you might want to try this."
You became the fork in the road for them.
I kind of placed myself there, yeah,
Okay,
for sure. Again, just that's coming from personal experience of, I'm glad somebody was there for me.
Right.
Maybe now it's time for me to kind of pay it forward. And so yeah. And then now I'm, a school counselor. I thought for a while that I wanted to do like therapeutic work, like clinical work.
Yeah.
And become a therapist, it's still in the cards, but I just feel with this, I have a little bit more influence, because of, instead of a caseload of 20,
right,
I can help out my entire school, which is currently about to reach 500 kids. So
no kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't. Matter of fact,
That's
dude,
crazy.
My wife told me this yesterday. She read somewhere that East Helena is the fastest growing city or town in Montana 2 years in a row. East Helena.
Wow. That's crazy. That's
Right?
crazy. Because I grew up here, after I moved from Colstrip. The joke was leadheads, right? But it was cool to see that. Wow, I did not realize that.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking like EVMS, 500 students, like that's a lot. Okay, this is a weird question. How many, because like talking to your caseload of like 20, right? If you were a clinical psychologist or whatever. What are the numbers? Like how many students do you actually like see? Like, I guess percentage. I'm thinking of like the Pareto, right? The 80-20 rule. Like, is it 20% of the student population that are in your office, or is it smaller than that? Or like, what is?
Essentially, I can see any kid that needs support. And what's great about this too is that my referrals are in-house.
Yeah, nice.
If you want to look at it that way,
yeah.
Because I have teachers that also have their antennas up of which kids are needing support, and they can see that on a daily basis, right? Because they see the kids every day, right? Monday through Friday, and so they see when they have new behaviors coming up, and maybe have some questions around it, but don't have the resources or the time to really follow up on it. So that's kind of where I kind of step in, and I don't do like deep therapeutic work, even though a lot of my kids want to.
Yeah.
And this is a little bit of like my own evolution of my position and how I view it. Is that clinical work, we can find you people to do that outside of school.
Sure.
Mine is, I need to get back in the game. Right?
Yeah.
Because, right? Because, it's difficult to open up a can of history and then like say, all right, let's put a lid on it. Now go back and do some math.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a balance there for me.
You're more like the EMT, not the doctor.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think that's a little bit of background.
Yeah.
History.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
So, because the stuff that we were talking about, like the whole idea about the podcast being called The Choice and about having that, choice in front of you all the time. The thing that I think I find amazing is how many people, and I did it myself, like where I would talk about all the time, I want to be ridiculously in charge of my own life. And then realizing, I already am. Like you already are, right?
Right.
And it's just, maybe it's perspective, but okay, I'm already in charge of my own life. But it's amazing to me how many people don't feel that, right? They just, or they don't know that, they weren't raised to think that way, whatever. Instead of like the presentation of like, hey, you've got the choice in front of you. Like the choice exists. Are you going to go down this path or are you going to go down this path?
Yeah.
And, it's in your hands. What are you seeing like with students, heck, even teachers for that matter? Like, do you feel that there's more autonomy, or like culturally, is it just kind of like put on students, teachers, people that's just like, oh, this is kind of your lot in life. You're stuck.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question, man. I'm glad you brought up like culturally, because I think when we're coming up to that choice, right?
Yeah.
The fork in the road. I think sometimes when we do come to that fork in the road, I feel like there's one fork in the road that's like raging and like it's well worn, and that way is familiar. It's well maintained. It's got lights on it, and then like the other fork in the road is that dirt road, because it's new, right? So because there's someone standing in that fork saying, hey, I've been down this road, like maybe try this other way of doing things, because this way hasn't been working for you.
Yeah.
Right. We know where that leads. And I think that when I talk about that, it's a well-worn way. I view that as like culturally, right? Culturally, we are there's some ingrainment or indoctrination, or however you want to call it, where we're viewed as like, we're to view ourselves as like victims of culture and society, and that you're actually not in charge, right? It's your ADHD, or it's your whatever
upbringing, your background,
or your upbringing, your background, right? Does that have some influence? Absolutely, it does. But at the end of the day, you're still presented with a choice of how you're going to respond to whatever comes your way, right? And I love how you put it, right? We have to remember that we are ridiculously in charge of our lives, right? And it all starts with the choice that we're going to make when we come to that fork of the road. It could be something little, or it could be something big, or something in the middle, right?
Yeah.
But we're always making choices, whether we like it or not, and that's why I couldn't agree more with just how we just kind of came up with the theme of the podcast, man. Yeah, the choice.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was giving that presentation in Bend, Oregon, and I was talking about you're being intentional with your actions, or you have your accidental outcomes, and it's not like it's a super original thought, right? Like Jeff Olson called it the slide edge, or Darren Hardy calls it the compound effect, and so it's this idea that over time you're either having an upward trajectory of life or a downward trajectory of life, right? The intentional action, the accidental outcome. And it was really cool because I'm giving this presentation. One of the people that was there in the audience, he actually was he was a C-suite executive for Nike at one point, and now he teaches at the college in Bend. And he got up to speak right after me, just kind of like talking about something in college for like quick 5 minutes. And it was cool because it in one aspect he was like, man, everything Jason's saying exactly right, like about Dunbar's number and social circles, and and bandwidth and these different things. And then he pulled out the chart that I had, as in this packet of stuff I had everybody working on. And he pulled this out. He said, I couldn't agree more with this. He's like, except for one thing. I was like, ooh, all right, teach me. He wasn't much smarter, wiser, gone farther than me. And he said it seems like it would be simple and it's always this way, or it's always this way. He's like, it's not. It's like every person at every time is oscillating between the two. Because just because I made the intentional action today doesn't mean I'm going to tomorrow. Right. And in the same way, like when your default, you're like, yeah, I had just, a whole pepperoni pizza and a gallon of ice cream. Like just because I made that mistake yesterday doesn't mean that's going to define me for the rest of my life. Right. And every action, if you will, as we get to all these little forks in the road, like you're saying, like, how do we continually bring that awareness to us where it's like, okay, what is the action? What's the choice I'm going to make in this? Because like you said, it's like, I'm not the victim. I do have the ability to make that choice. And even though it seems insignificant at the time, right, it's still that choice. As you're seeing kids and you're basically wanting to like bandage them up, get them back in the classroom. How do you phrase it, or how do you like activate that choice in students? Even if it's just like the smallest choice, like what is like the easiest, simplest action that you're asking from a student just to like help activate them, get them back on path?
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't you like to know that secret? And that is still, I think there's so many books written for how to help a child get out of a mess that they're in, or, trying to recover from poor choices, or I haven't, there's no 100% way. Honestly, when I sit down with kids, they're coming to me because a couple reasons, right? Their teacher is seeing something, so now I'm like reaching out to them. But the majority of the kids that come to me, there's already some rapport in place, right? They already know, either from a friend that I've helped, the majority of like what I'm going to say or how I'm going to say it, there's context to it, and it's really tied into that rapport that I have with them, whether it's a good one or not a good one. But I do know that the foundation of where we're going to like jump off at is from a relationship standpoint, like finding some sort of common ground, or because they're not going to open up, whether it's something simple as Tom made fun of me in class and I just and I just wanted to shut down, or so there's something going on at home, or I have, which here's one of the bigger ones is conflicts with other peers. I can't tell you how many times that has come up, and it's so tied to their digital lives and their social media space, that
I guess in what way? Because honestly, like I am so out of that loop intentionally. Like
same. No, seriously, same, man. I tried to get on Facebook yesterday.
And how'd it go?
Not good. They wouldn't let me back on.
I'm like, not this guy. Yeah.
I was not approved.
Wow.
I know, after, what, when did I get off? 2010.
Okay. Yeah, I was 2011 I got off.
Yeah.
I got back on last year, and now I'm like, I haven't missed anything. That's fine. So we said, so what do you mean by that? Like, is it, because I hear cyberbullying and things like that. Obviously, you got kids that are older than me, than mine. My oldest is 12. So, but like, what is that? I guess I don't know how that ostracization, if that's the word, right? Cyberbullying. I mean, I understand how it works, meaning like people are rude and talk bad and then get other people to pile on you, and you know what I mean? But is that basically it?
I mean, you're a youth pastor.
Yeah.
Like, what were some of the issues that you had to deal with when you were dealing with the youth?
It was just gossip. I think the difference is there wasn't like, because social media wasn't that big of a deal.
Sure.
When I was a youth pastor, even like towards the tail end, it was kind of becoming a thing, but not really, not in the same way that I understand it to be today. I could be wrong about that. It's the same, right? somebody didn't like somebody, so then now they're gonna have this clique and they're gonna beat up on them with this clique, and so it sounds like the same. It just is on, never leaves.
Yeah, it's basically like when I was going doing football, my coach, I had a coach that would always say, like, don't put any bulletin board material for the next team to kind of get hyped on. That's basically what it is. It's bulletin board material, and anybody can jump in, right? Yeah. There's so many times where I've had kids come into my office and go and say, like, I don't even know this person that well, but they want to comment, or like here's a great example of just social media and just the kind of what the platform can do for people that just want to complain about the world. Right? We had 4th of July just came up.
Okay. Yeah.
And apparently you're supposed to stop fireworks at 11 p.m.
Okay.
Right? And
city ordinance or something?
City ordinance.
Okay. Good.
Right? And then my wife was on Facebook, and it's like a neighborhood Facebook.
Yeah.
And some guy at 11:20, right? This is 20 minutes after, says, like, well, thanks for waking up my kids, asshats. And it's 11:20. We should stop doing our fireworks. It's the 4th of July.
Yeah.
You're in Montana. Did you not know this was not coming, or like what? But but here's the thing. That person threw it up, and then people that this person has no idea who they are wanted to throw their bit. That's kind of what it's like for kids. You have to remember, this is an adult with kids whose mind is a little bit more developed, you would hope.
Yeah.
Right? But now I deal with middle school, right? 12, 13, 14-year-olds.
Yeah.
Who 6th grader they're just getting out of elementary.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Where they're super dependent. Now they're kind of like they're at this point where they're trying to figure out independence, mixed in with kids who have already experienced independence. So you know what I mean? So having to deal with a lot of like developmental stages as well too, is there's a dance with that. So when I say that social media plays a lot of like a huge part in kids and how they digest conflict, that's part of it. There's so many voices out there that is vying for your attention, and sometimes it's learning how to listen to the right ones, and that's kind of my hope sometimes, is when they come into my office that I can have some authority in kind of speaking to them and speaking to their lives, and hopefully giving them a proper perspective on
and
we're doing moving forward.
I think you're right. I think like culturally we're so inundated with information and stuff like that. So if we talk about like the choice, it's one thing, like, oh, it's easy if it was just 2 choices, right? But now we have millions of choices.
Yeah.
So then how does I don't think that our brain is wired for that. Like, I don't think, you know what I mean? And so I guess in the same way.
My wife and I are trying to figure out what show we want to watch on Netflix.
Right. It used to be 3 channels, right? But so what do we do? I don't know. So it's overloaded. You do nothing, right?
There's nothing to watch,
right? So I'm guilty. But in the same way, but like how do you then like get through the noise, right? It could be like a TikTok influencer has more of their ear than you do, even though you're right here with them, right? You're actually like here with them, but they're like, oh, okay, well, I saw it on TikTok, so therefore I'm going to go this way and be swayed by whatever the trend is, right? I don't know. Like, how have you found being able to like bust through the noise? Because I'm sure there's students. Like, if I think about me as a youth pastor, there's for sure students that I never got through to. Mm-hmm. Like, they just did not want input. There's some that just want to be flat disruptors, right? And so in the business world, I talk about like the right person, right seat. And like sometimes you just have the wrong person in your company and you just fire them. Now you can't necessarily do that at school. Yes, there's detention. I'm sure there's, places you could do. But I'll say is there's some kids that you're not going to get through to because I think they're choosing to not. Their choice. But then there's some that it's like, man, I still think of a few that, man, I know that I've helped like radically transform their thought process and the way they did things and whatever. But have you seen a differentiator for yourself getting through to kids, and rising above the noise?
Cool. Yeah, I think for me, you have to have some faith in what you're doing, man. Because all I can do when kids come into my office is really love on them.
Yeah.
It really is. And sometimes the when I say love on them, look like pull your head out.
Right.
Some tough love.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we've shied away from that so much, or not, maybe not even shied away, but we forgot what that means. Right. We forgot what tough love means.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And we always want to, I don't know, kind of not offend, or we don't want to have this like point where we might traumatize our kids or whatever. And we let the fear of that kind of drive our parenting. Right. And so, I was, listening to a audiobook by Abigail Schreier. It's called Bad Therapy. And she talks about this in the book where we've kind of given our parenting to the experts.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I mean, I've seen my wife like pick up books by, therapists that say this might be the way to do things. And you know what's funny about it is when she picks it up and reads it, she's like, well, we've been doing this already. No.
Yeah.
Right? There's no like, parenting is there's no one way to do things when it comes to parenting or counseling or however you want to call it, coaching. Yeah. What you're doing is you're influencing somebody in your life.
Yeah.
Whenever you take the mantle of doing any of those things. And so I think that when I sit down with a kid, that's really my main goal, is to make sure that this kid knows that I care about him, and I know that there's something better that you can do. Right. Now we're tying that all the way back to that coach in high school that said, hey, there's better things you can do than, I didn't play football till my freshman year in high school. Right. So I didn't know that there was these opportunities that were there. And I did I automatically believe my coach right away? No, it took some time.
Yeah.
It took some time and a lot of,
So what was the thing for you?
out.
Like, take me through that conversation that you had with your coach.
Yeah.
Because you didn't play until freshman year. So it was the high school coach that saw you and said, Sebastian, you're going to play football? Or
Yep.
How'd that go?
Well, yes, but it's also my dad. My dad was also big on, you are not going to, so there's this transition period in my like middle school to high school where I started hanging around like influences that were not good for me.
Okay.
Right? Like gang type of stuff. And living in San Diego, it was there.
Not the East Helena gang.
No, not East Helena gang. But no, certainly, and my dad saw it.
Yeah.
And because my dad, loved me and still loves me, he wanted me to be intentional and invest my time somewhere other than, being a knucklehead.
Yeah.
In all honesty, right? And so my dad basically kind of just threw down the gauntlet and said, you don't have to play football after this 1 year. You just do this for me as a favor. Nice. You play football for me for 1 year, and if you don't like it, I won't bug you about it ever again. And so I was like, fine, reluctantly. And of course, I get in there, and what do I want to play? Quarterback, wide receiver.
Really?
Yeah.
So funny.
Man. And that's where, my my high school coach was like, "No, no, was I decent at some of those things? Yes, but he's I was on the bus, but I wasn't in the right seat.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Right.
he put me in the right seat because he saw further than I did
Mm.
and what my potential could be.
Yeah.
And I was just a punk kid that was doing something for my dad.
Yeah.
Not for myself, anything like that. And he just basically was just like, "Hey man, nope. O-line. All right.
Well, I protect the quarterback. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're on the other side."
Yeah.
And so yeah, man, I really that was really the conversation. It was that, and just having that hard conversation with me by saying, you had this in mind, but I've done this way too long to know that this is a better path for you. This
Right.
fork in the road this side of the fork of the road is a lot better option for you than
Yeah.
this. And of course, as I started to kind of just started to see by his actions,
Yeah.
our motto, and it still is to an extent, I believe, is one family, one purpose. Right. And we would just rattle that off all the time, right? One family, and everybody say one purpose. And it took me a couple of weeks to understand what he was talking about when he said when he was saying one family, one purpose. Is that purpose was not football. It was actually to raise
Young man.
good young men.
Yeah.
And it was and I needed that time with him, whether it's watching film or him coaching me on like the small details, and then saying, "What's going on at school? Like,
Yeah.
are you struggling? Do you need help? What do you need help with?" All those things helped me buy in to kind of that belief in me, that he had in me,
Yeah.
more than I had in myself, until I finally believed myself more.
Yeah.
Right. And that's how I got here in Montana. And
Yeah. So what was because then the next step was obviously college.
Yeah.
And what was that? Because that was another choice, right?
that was another choice.
Yeah.
For sure. Man, that got me thinking about, a lot of my younger days. But you're right, though. I mean, it all goes back to what we're talking about is choice.
Yeah.
Right. What choices you're going to make.
Because at some point, then, I mean, it was the choice that you made was for your dad, right? And then sophomore year, was it for you?
I loved it, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad actually just built off of what, and it was, what was cool too, is that, my coach said the same things that my dad said.
Yeah.
Right. My dad was he was very simple. Don't lie, don't steal, right?
Yeah.
Don't cheat. Like, just very basic
Yeah.
Sebastian rules. Don't hit women.
Yeah.
Like, those were very, very big for my dad. And it was, right. It was echoed from a coach, right. Who also started developing, a decent relationship rapport with my parents. And so, like I said, I just started developing, or not, I just started to just buy in to what was going on, right? Not to mention, right, lifting weights.
Yeah.
There's a culture behind football, built in, almost like built-in friendships, right, with your teammates, and just the optics of, becoming a football player, and then like starting to have some accolades. It just kind of all fell into place. And didn't fall into place. I had to work for it, for sure. Right. So I really started believing that I could actually take this to like the next level, like my junior year. Right.
Yeah.
So, cause I started to become like, first team, like, just some accolades in San Diego. Right.
Yeah.
So, and I just started to see college recruiting letters in the mail, and started talking to some college coaches, and I was like, oh, okay. I didn't see that when he first told me, right?
Yeah.
I didn't see that in the fork of the road.
Yeah.
I just had to like take his word for it. And
Yeah.
and that kind of there it was. So,
Hmm.
and then Montana State, like you said, Montana State was a team that was up. It was a program that was kind of at a low point when I came in, and so the coaching staff that was all there, they were brand new staff. I was part of the first recruiting class there, and
Yeah.
I had a coach that that was that also had a lot of accolades in the college realm, and was, I think, had a couple stints in like Canada ball, and
Yeah.
maybe I think he had a stint for the New Orleans Saints for a while, and
Okay.
and yeah, same thing. That coach he had a tremendous belief in not only me but his whole position line.
Yeah.
and and so for me, I found that very familiar.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Like belief in potential and all that stuff. So for me, it was just a good choice for me to head that way and to have somebody like that on my corner as I kind of moved on with my college career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense. Because, as I'm thinking about that, like when you're talking about being a freshman in high school, hanging out with knuckleheads, do you know any of those knuckleheads you're hanging out with? And what is the trajectory that their life has gone?
Oof. They certainly did not go down a route that was beneficial.
Sure.
I think I lost track of them my sophomore year, somewhere around that time.
Yeah.
Whether it was just for lack of like giving attention to it, or I was just in a different point in my life, and they were kind of still in the same area, doing the same old things and causing issues in class and all that kind of stuff. So
all the stuff you get to hear about
all
the time.
So
because my hope is as we flesh out the podcast that I think we're going to talk about big choices, because I think obviously there's a handful of choices that are like the biggest choices, right? Like who you're going to marry, in my view, is like one of the biggest choices, right? Spiritual relationship, I think, is one of the biggest choices.
Yeah.
Where you're going to live, having kids, what kind of work you're going to do. I think those are kind of like the 5 big ones, right? Like, because those ones, I believe, like shape your worldview and your outlook more than probably most anything else.
Yeah.
Right. Like, if I wasn't married to Anna, my life would be very different.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't have kids, my life would be very different. And all the experiences and all the things that you go through. But I also want to, like, the macro level. Yeah. What are the big choices? But then what are obviously the small choices? The things that are kind of the insignificant, if you will. Like, if I don't work out today, it's not going to kill me. Right. If I don't work out today, it's not going to kill me. But those choices compound over time, like Darren Hardy talks about, or Jeff Olson talks about in The Slight Edge.
Yeah.
Those choices you make will compound over time, and it gives you an incredible result. And it's not until you have some hindsight and you look back over your life or look back over decisions, you're like, okay, that was the right decision. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's really hard in the moment a lot of times to be like, am I making the right decision here? Like, am I going to keep moving forward in this direction? Is this the right decision? And it's not until you look backwards and you say, oh yeah, that was a good call.
Right.
It's kind of interesting because as we're talking about this, we've been talking about like interviewing other people, because don't want to be just the Jason and Ray show, to hear from them. And we were talking about like what core questions do we want to ask people. And here's the ones that we've come up with so far, is how do you activate the choice in people, which I asked you just a bit ago. And then another one we have been thrown around is like, what is the hardest thing you've ever done? Or maybe a better way to say it's like, what is the hardest choice you've ever made, right? To kind of maybe stay more on brand.
Sure.
But yeah, just that idea of like, what is the hard thing that you've done? Because it would have been just as easy to not.
Yeah.
Right? Because for you, it would have been just as easy to not play football.
For sure.
It'd probably been easier, actually.
Yeah, it would have.
At the time. Yeah.
Yeah. But then I wouldn't be able to experience kind of what I'm experiencing now.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I mean, that's because I think that's the thing. Like I think that the hard things that we go through is actually the thing that forges our character, right? Like those are the things that make us better, and realizing that there's a depth to us that we didn't realize was there if we hadn't gone through the hard thing. And I guess maybe some background. The reason that question has stuck with me is because I had a friend, and we worked together, and we were having an issue with some middle manager. We're both on the leadership team. We're having some issue with the middle manager, and we're walking and talking about it. He just kind of like stops me. He just like looks at me. He goes, "Jason, what's the hardest thing you've ever done?" I was like, I don't know, like emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually, like what do you mean? And so we started talking. We had a great conversation. Great guy. He was in the military. He was a sniper, right? Been combat, a lot of stuff, right? He's gone through hard stuff, right? And as we were talking, then we realized like the person we were talking with, like the hardest thing they had gone through is they like lost a basketball game once or something like that, right? And we realized like, oh, okay, there's not a depth there. And as I was talking to my wife about this on the drive over here to Montana, as we were talking about like what's the hardest thing, she's like you should also ask people like what's the hardest thing that they've gone through, because a lot of times stuff that you go through wasn't necessarily a decision, right? It was just like something that happened. And so it's the hardest thing you've done is the hardest thing you've ever done, you know, in terms of choice. And then there's some things that you just have to go through, right? That you just experience that had nothing to do with you, right? It wasn't a choice you made. It was something that was put on you. And so how did you walk through that? And then what did you learn as a result of going through those things? So it's right. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. It was an interesting question because one really speaks to intention, right? The choice. Right. And then one is like, okay, what are you going to do even though something that you didn't choose happened to you? But it's the same thing. Like you can either choose to be the victim, right, and shrink back, or you can choose to say, okay,
you're still part of the story.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
He's still.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure that you hear all sorts of things, and it kind of same as I was a youth pastor. I heard some pretty horrific things, you know, with students. And then I heard lots of whining from other students. I'm like, that is definitely a first world problem. So you didn't get the latest iPhone and you're mad about that. But that is not going to be the game changer. Yeah. I think that's going to give you the trajectory for your life. So I'm curious, like in real time, like what is a choice right now that you're in the middle of that you're just like, okay, yeah, I'm making this choice in terms of like health, growth, finance, whatever.
Gosh, yeah. There, you know, and I think when you're talking about like macro, I think those things grab people's attention.
Yeah.
But it's the personalized where people can really be like,
yeah.
Man. Yeah, you make it like when you say the hardest choice. Now it's like we have to at least for myself, I have to like be like, oh, I gotta compare myself to like whose hardest one is this?
Yeah.
But I would say it depends on the time.
Okay.
I think I would say that because seasons there's seasons in life where things are hard, and there's seasons in life that things are going well. And that it can be, gosh, man, it can be, it can come up on you, man. Like a squall can just out of nowhere just come in and like give you a challenge, like in those moments. And I would just say like right now, and I wouldn't even say it's a hard choice, but it's for me, it's always a daily hard choice, and that is to kind of just get back into shape for myself and work out, and that's hard to say sometimes because I've been coached my life and I know what it looks like to have a goal and to, you know,
I know what I should be doing.
I know I should be doing, but it's certainly having the motivation to do things and to make those hard choices when I really essentially don't have to.
Huh?
Like I think about it that time, I don't have to, but
True.
That's my lazy self saying that, of course. But my the other side of myself is, like, what don't settle. Don't settle here physically. Don't settle here.
Yeah.
So just make it.
I wonder if it like ties to, because I've been thinking about this for myself, like tying it to a bigger why. Because there's like the generic why. It's like, oh yeah, I want to be healthy. Okay. But that's not big enough reason to get me up in the morning.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, it's
sure.
not. It's funny right now, because I've been, I told you about this, like going on this trip with Peyton in a month. And so it's going to be a lot of hiking. I'm like, dude, I am not in hiking shape. Right. So my butt is up pretty much every morning right now hiking. And it's not because I want to be healthy. It's because I'm like, dude, I've got a 50-mile trek that I got to go do. And I don't want to die. Right. So I don't know. This is kind of funny, but it's also, you know what I mean? Like tying it to something tangible. Like when you're playing football, some pretty real goals. Like
there's built-in goals.
Yeah. I don't want to die.
I don't want to die. I don't want my spot taken.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
Yep.
That was probably one of the biggest things. I was always underrated when I came into college. I was always undersized. But I was just a dog, man. Like I don't want to like toot my own horn, but like when it comes down to it, I wasn't gonna let you outplay me, no matter how big you were, no matter like I was just going to relentlessly pursue you on the field and show you on the field what I was going to do. And
how does that translate? I think this, how does that translate to like life now? Because it's not like people are vying for your spot at the school. I mean, maybe they are, but I don't, you know what I mean? Like, but it's not the same, like in your face as it is. You know what I mean? Like,
I
wonder
you. Now I do know what you mean, but now to put it into words is a whole nother thing, right? Like, I don't know. It's almost, there's like things that have been ingrained through athletics that I apply to life too. And I think some of that is, again, like, I'm not going to let you take my spot. Maybe for me it maybe sounds like this in my head. Let me like think about this for a second. Because that's the voice we're listening to, right? We're listening to that voice in the head, in our head. Which voice we're listening to is going to be the main thing moving forward. Yeah. I'm trying to think. Let's like yesterday, like working out. It's hot. I didn't want to do anything, right? Like our natural tendency as human beings is we're just going to default to the easy. Yeah. Right. We're going to choose that fork in the road that's well worn. We like this. We know, even though we know the outcome and where this is going to lead is probably not going to help us. Yeah. I'm okay with it today. Yeah. But there's that other side of me, and I don't know. I almost visualize, in the, we're talking about some spiritual things, like wisdom is calling for a hearing. Yeah. Right. The wise thing to do is to get your butt up and to go do this. Yeah. Right. And I think that's where like my athletic side, whether maybe there's some vanity to it too. Like I don't want to like carry all this poundage. I don't need it. Right. Right. So I actually want to look fit. I want what my inside to match what my outside is looking like in a way. Right. Yeah. And so if I'm feeling good inside, I need to, it needs to show on the exterior how I'm feeling. Right. So a little bit of that, maybe that has some things to do with it. And, my wife, we sleep next to each other at night all the time. And, she's worried about, like there's times where I don't breathe at night. And so there's like health problems that I don't even know. And I feel that not being, I'm going to take fitness. I don't not even look fit, just be healthy. Yeah. Right. And prosper health wise, physically.
Yeah.
That I could, there's some work needs to be done that that can help me with this.
Yeah.
And that's, getting healthier.
Yeah.
Losing some poundage, right? Like, why am I doing this? Well, I want to make sure that I sleep well.
Yeah.
And I'm not freaking my wife out in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, some of those, a lot of, for me, I feel that there's some internal things that people need to work through when it comes to making choices.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's, and it's either you're going to fold like a cheap tent.
Yeah.
Or you're going to like push through things.
Yeah. That's good. One of the words for this year for me was just the phrase level up. Level up in different areas.
That's good.
And so I'm curious, like, what does leveling up mean to you at this stage of your life right now?
Well, man, that's a great question, dude. Like, I've been trying to figure that out for a while. I'm, when I got this job as a school counselor, wow, it's getting hot in here. Like, when I got my job as a school counselor, I thought that was going to be leveling up, right? Which it was. For me, it was certainly leveling up professionally. And so now, like, I'm kind of caught. I'm in that season, right? Of like what's next? And I don't think I'm alone in that. I think there's a lot of people that are, that don't know. And sometimes I don't help myself. Like, I don't sit down and maybe look forward a little bit more, maybe some wise planning of what I'm going to do moving forward. Is it going to be, clinical work and wanting to open up a private practice or something like that? Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel that I can kind of bloom where I'm planted right now and really get my school counseling game up. And really just trying to maybe how I can offer some support in that way.
Yeah.
There's so much. I just did like at the beginning of summer, my administrator, my principal, she like, I walked in maybe 2 months, a month and a half before school was over. And I was just going to walk in and say hello. Right? Just, hey, do you need anything from me? And I walk in and she's like, well, just the person I wanted to see. You want to do a talk for me? I was like, what?
No.
Hi. How's the day going? And in my head, like, I wanted to just say no. Right? That's the easy way.
That's the easy way.
But if I wanted to level up, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Did I have a curriculum? No. Did I have anything I wanted to talk about at that moment? No.
Yeah.
But we developed it, right? I got some help. And that all started by making that choice of saying, yes, I'm going to do it. Right. Why? Because I'm going to level up.
Yeah.
I got to level up my profession. I want to level up. I want to level up my profession. I want to level up the people I can reach. Yeah. Right. I want to level up and in the process, I want to level up my school.
Yeah.
Right. I've talked to you about this. We've had our small conversations about, if there was a school that was a template on, on what excellence looks like.
Yeah.
I feel that I can start right where I'm at.
Yeah.
And that ain't going to happen if I just choose to
coast.
Yeah. Choose to say no. So the 6-hour talk went absolutely fantastic, man.
Nice.
Like, it was a lot about, really about like school culture and values and how does that look for people. And it was less of a lecture. I was more of the facilitator in a way, and like guided conversation and inspired talks.
Yeah.
More than me lecturing for 6 hours, which I was like terrified of. Like, what the heck am I going to say for 6 hours? But man, it was quite the experience, man. It was
cool.
great. I wish I recorded it. I remember, did you record it? And I was like, no. But I got immediate feedback from it, and boy, it was good, man.
Yeah.
Like everybody, uh, just what they were saying is was what I was aiming for, which was inspiring them to level up too.
Yeah. Right.